All right. We will now call to order the April 3rd, 2024 Special Board of Education meeting and workshop for Chico Unified School District. Thanks, everybody, for being here this evening. At this time, I will ask you all to please stand for the flag salute. All right, we have student reports first up.
We have a lot of student reports tonight, and we are going to start with McManus. So I'd like to invite Chris Weaver up. He's going to tell us what we're going to hear.
Yes. All righty. Okay. Everybody hear me? Good evening, board members, Superintendent Staley, Chico Unified staff, and guests. Thanks for being here. Got to put my glasses on here. So school construction is progressing each day at McManus, and I'm so proud of our community, including our students, families, and staff. A true sense of togetherness has come from this experience, and watching the stages throughout this school year has been pretty impressive considering all that goes into it. Tonight for our student report, I want to invite the McManus News team up so I can introduce them as they're going to be presenting a video. So if you're on the McManus News team, come on up, please. Okay, so representing our news crew here, we have fourth grader news anchor Anaya Nelson. Next to her, we have fourth grader news crew Lincoln Lohr, and also fifth grader Evan Medina Tinoco. And behind the scenes at McManus, doing some of the work, some of the kiddos that aren't here, we have Sarai Barona, who's currently in fourth grade as well. She does some voiceover work. We also have Annabelle Lopes, who assists on production, and then our weatherman, Jameson Coleman. Joining our incredible students and our dedicated teachers, including Mr. Wakefield, Ms. Clements, and Mr. Canales. All right. Just a little bit of history about the McManus News. It's been around since 2015. It was started by Mr. Canales and Azura Whitchurch and Paige Bush, and it's been going on for the last, since 2015. And it's been a great vehicle to share our PBIS shared values, so really grateful to have students and staff collaborating together. So without further ado, here's our video.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Oh, yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that.
It's the McManus News starring Anaya Nelson and Mr. Wakefield.
Good morning, Mustangs. And I'm here with Mr. Wakefield to give you a special edition of the McManus News.
We've seen the construction crews working hard day in and day out, and many of you have asked, what's going on behind the scenes with all this construction surrounding us? Well, look no further.
We at the McManus News are so excited to bring you an updated look of the hard work that has been going on this year.
So the students have responded incredibly well. I think at the beginning of the school year in August and September, the noise and some of the things that have been moving were noticeable. But as the year has progressed, I think we've all become used to it and more tolerant of it. And also I think as we see the school building, it really just gives everybody hope knowing that this is our new school. And so we kind of switched from, yeah, it's a little bit noisy to, hey, we have a new school. So we're super excited.
As we began our behind-the-scenes tour, our guide and construction foreman, Dan, told us to walk this way.
Walk this way.
He said it was a reference from an old movie, but we're only 10, Dan. None of us have ever heard of it. But we shared a good laugh, and we headed in to check out the new 4th and 5th grade classrooms. The rooms were empty and looked so huge. We got to check out the cool built-in storage, which I know the teachers are going to love. And we even managed to give Mr. Weaver a little scare.
When I came to McManus this year, we had a lot of different holes in the ground and one foundation that was getting poured at the beginning of the year. Now all foundations are poured and structures are really starting to take place. Just yesterday, I noticed that we have brand new windows in the new administrative building, and I'm so excited to see walls going up and getting put on, and I just can't wait to start moving people into new buildings next year.
As we walked around with Julie Kissel, who is the Director of Facilities Construction, and Maria Campos, the Facilities Planner and Construction Supervisor, we got to ask so many questions. Like, what's with this pink stuff on the walls? Much to our disappointment, they said it wasn't cotton candy, and that it would make us itchy and not feel so great, so we kept our distance. Check out the new office. We know our front office staff is going to love it. Lots of new windows. It should be very welcoming to our McManus family. Naturally, I had to send Mr. Weaver to the principal's office. Luckily, he didn't seem to mind one bit. Check out the excitement on his face.
As a fifth grader, I'm really bummed that we can't experience this, but I'm really excited that we got a new school, new everything.
Once we were done checking out the office, we were able to take a walk over to the new kindergarten complex. Let me sum it up in one word. Wow! This place was not only new and exciting, but the rooms are huge!
We at McManus are so excited about our new school. Every day the students and the teachers get to see the new buildings and how things are coming along.
I was so excited. You know I had to ask about their new playground.
Oh, it's going to be really awesome. There's going to be slides and merry-go-rounds. Matter of fact, there's going to be merry-go-rounds that wheelchairs can roll right onto. Lots of inclusive play.
Whoa, that's so cool. Maybe it'll look something like this. That would be great for kids of all ages and abilities to be able to play together.
One thing I'm looking forward to the most when this project is complete is our brand new parking lot. And I'm so grateful for our parents who have been incredibly patient with really limited parking, and people have gotten really creative about pickups and drop-offs. So I can't wait for parents to have that when it's all done.
The construction crew was hard at work in the new cafeteria, so we couldn't stay for too long. But it was cool to be able to walk through and visualize what it's going to look like when it's all said and done.
My impression of this whole school, I love everything about it. I'm super sad that our old school is leaving, but it's amazing. So I'm very excited for all my friends to experience this, and here's to new beginnings.
You know, when we were all through with the tour, I had to ask Mr. Weaver, what was his favorite part?
I absolutely love our new school. I'm super excited, specifically for students at McManus like yourself, who get to enter into new, beautiful classrooms, have a brand new, beautiful playground, and experience a school that you deserve.
Well, that's all for now. There's nothing left to do but kick back, have a seat, and wait for them to be done.
So again, thanks to the McManus News crew. Appreciate you all so much. Also noticed in the back that we have
That's all, folks.
Dan Thompson. Where's Dan? Dan, please stand up. Yeah. Give him a Julie Kissel, please stand up. And Maria Campos, is she not here today? Okay. Yeah, so I was talking to Eileen before the board meeting started, and honestly, this experience has been great. Having Maria, Julie, and Dan has been great because, I mean, I don't know much of anything about this construction, and they never make me feel like, I'm less than. They're incredibly responsive, and just through the whole process, we're having a good time. Dan's got a great sense of humor. Maria and Julie are, I can call them in a heartbeat, and they really do help. So it's been a great process. So again, thank you. And thank you to the McManus News crew. I appreciate you. All right. So at this moment in time, I'd like to call up Mr. Canales for a second. Come on up, sir. Yes. Just want to give you a big high five. All right. Got a few pages here, so yeah. All right, so at McManus, celebrating student success is my favorite part of being a principal. And by honoring Mr. Canales, we celebrate student success as our very own diehard Dodger Blue fan understands the value of building meaningful relationships with students, not only in his classroom, but throughout the entire school community. In his 12-plus years at McManus, Andy is known for having a big heart along with a quick observational sense of humor. Always reflective, Andy has a deep understanding of who he is and how he impacts lives daily. I want to share a memory from last year because I think it is really at the core what makes Andy so special. So last year, toward the end of the school year, during a student LCAP meeting at McManus, Mr. Sullivan was talking to students, and he posed a question about what students liked about their teachers. And students shared many delightful things about teachers at our site, but one comment caught the attention of both Mr. Sullivan and myself. In fact, I remember Ted looking at me and saying, "Write that one down." At the time, Jacqueline Wilcox, a fourth grader in Mr. C's class, said, "What makes my teacher great is that he makes our interests his interests." With intentionality, Andy gathers information about students at McManus. Again, this is not limited to the students in his classroom. He is the modern-day community teacher. It is his sole mission to connect with as many students as he possibly can. It is not uncommon for Mr. C to visit primary classrooms to read a story throughout the year. When he reads a story, it is quite entertaining. He dives in head first and oftentimes can be heard across the hall, taking on character voices with great inflection and intonation. Because of this, he builds immediate connections with future students. So upon walking into his fourth grade classroom, you will find students happy, engaged in hands-on learning, and thriving. Andy creates a safe learning environment by weaving in social, emotional, and academics simultaneously. His teaching pedagogy is dynamic, energetic, as well as culturally responsive and inclusive to each student in his class. It is important to note that once you are a student of Mr. C's, you have him for life. From elementary school through college, this guy is regularly invited to quinceañeras, graduation ceremonies, and weddings. Even when students come back to visit McManus, they always ask, "Is Mr. C here?" Andy's dedication and commitment to McManus is not limited to the school day. He wears many hats at McManus. As teacher in charge, Andy assumes responsibility for our learning community when Melinda and I are off campus, and truth be told, he is always looking out for student safety. As the creator of the McManus News in 2015, each year Andy leads a team of students and staff to create and produce monthly episodes that highlight our shared PBIS values. As a valuable member of McManus' school equity team, Andy helps promote student success by collaboratively analyzing data, identifying problems of practice, and looking for solutions. And then prior to construction, Andy was a key contributor on the site committee, offering insight and input in school design, in our new school design. It continues, sorry. He is also directly involved with student council and our school site council. As a cooperating teacher for students in the credential program, Andy is an influential mentor to future teachers as well. Andy is the most thoughtful and caring person. He reads student expressions better than anyone I know. He is the first person to pat a kiddo on the back and celebrate a win. On the flip side, Andy is a go-to for students who are experiencing truly tough times. His authenticity is present in all settings. I want to thank Andy's wife, Lindsay, his mom, and his sister for being here tonight to help celebrate him. Mr. C, you're one in a million, brother, and I appreciate you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gotcha. Thank you.
Now you gotta get your picture taken, sorry.
Okay.
You're in a kiss too.
Okay. Well, I was gonna go. Okay. Thank you.
So back to you, Madam President.
Did we just move through superintendent's report too? Oh, thanks. Back on track. That was great. I had a thought during the presentation that it's starting to feel for our Chico Unified administrators that school site construction is a rite of passage. So, good job. All right, well, we'll move right along to consent calendar. Is there anybody that would like to pull a consent item for further discussion? It's a very short consent calendar this time.
And I'm going to let those people that came from McManus, if you want to go ahead and go, feel free. You are always welcome to stay, but I do know it's a busy time of the year.
Thanks for sharing. Alrighty, so since we have no items that need to be pulled, I will ask for a motion.
I'll move adoption of the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll do a voice vote since it's our first vote for the evening. We'll start with Mr. Tennis.
Tennis, aye.
Concord, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Alrighty. It's unanimous. We'll move along to our board workshop topic. Tonight it is informational, career technical education, CTE, pathways and arts program. Come on down.
So tonight, want to introduce Tiffany Herringer, and she put a lot of work into this presentation and the coordination of all our teachers and students that are here tonight. So I just want to say thank you to her.
Hi, good evening. Where do I point this? Right there? It's not on. That would help. Okay. All right. Hello. Welcome tonight. We are talking about career technical education and the arts programs in CUSD. I'm going to start with a quick overview of our programs, and then we're going to look at program highlights. We have some teachers and students here to talk about their specific programs. We'll talk about our student organizations, some CTE data, and then our grants and future projects in CTE. So starting off, a little overview. All of CTE programs fall into specific industries. Within the state of California, we have 15 industries that are recognized. At Chico Unified, we cover 8 of those 15 industries with a little crossover in a couple other of the industries. So we hit a wide variety of the industries within the state of California. Currently, these are our pathways at Chico and PV. I won't go through the whole list because I'll be talking about them a little bit more later. In total, we have 23 pathways between our 2 comprehensive high schools, with the addition of 2 more pathways next year, bringing us to 25 pathways total between the two high schools. Future plans, so the two new pathways we're adding at PV are ceramic arts and digital photography. And those are really a branch of the two art pathways that they already have, and making those more specific to have a more specific pathway for students. So they'll have 4 art CTE pathways at PV. And then we're going to be looking at establishing pathways at Fairview as well, starting with a residential construction pathway. They currently have a wood shop, and we're looking at adding different other skills into that to make it more holistic in the construction industry. And then we're working on junior high career exploration classes as well. So, sprinkled throughout this presentation are student responses. So we survey students at the end of every school year, all of our CTE completers that are seniors, and then we do a 6-month graduate follow-up. And these are direct responses from our students. So these are all kind of sprinkled throughout. So this first one says, it was a wonderful experience. Sorry. The question I always ask is, is there anything you would like to share about your experience? So this student said, it was a wonderful experience, especially if you're going into the field for early college or jobs. I'm glad that I got the opportunity because I got to learn to be part of the community. So you're going to see these kind of spread out, and it's just nice to have that feedback from students. All right, so we're going to move on to our program highlights. The first person I'd like to come up is Matt Joyner and his student groups. He took over the engineering and architecture program this year, and he's really done amazing things with it. So
Thank you, Tiffany. Good evening. So I brought with me tonight 3 of our students in architecture and engineering. This is London, Tessa, and Chris Bell. They're going to talk a little bit about this first slide was another group of some of our students here a couple of weeks ago in conjunction with the BCOE for an 8th grader day at Silver Dollar Fair, introducing students to exactly this, the pathways available at not just specifically PV, but Chico High, View College, and some other communities. So. Moving on to this one, I'm going to ask Tessa to come up and speak about this because she's part of this project in architecture.
So for Architecture 2, we've made a shed. It took us around a month, and it's for a woman in Paradise who lost her home. And she loves gardening, so we made her this gardening shed that we worked with ProFrame, and they taught us step by step how to measure, cut, even though we weren't allowed to cut, and hammer in nails into certain angles and places. And basically they taught us a lot about how long it takes to build something, especially since this shed was so small and there was all of us working on it. And it also taught us how there's so many different types of jobs and people who come together to make one building, because there's different roofing, framing, and a lot of this painting as well. And I think this experience was really valuable for us because we're able to use the measurements from this shed and actually seeing it while we're sketching it in a design SketchUp. So not only are we imagining what the shed will look like, we actually see what it looks like.
Thank you, Tessa. Yes, this is a design build project, and for many years our pathways have done a great job with design, but with the addition of the new facility, we're now able to complement the design and do design build, some of the hands-on portion that goes along with the CAD drafting. So pretty exciting. On that topic too, we'd also like to thank VCE, Valley Contractors Exchange, for becoming a new community partner of ours who coordinated this project with, as Tessa mentioned, ProFrame Construction, who led our construction end of it with the students. So very cool there. So Chris Bell in London, and there's a picture of the shed almost complete. We still have paint and roofing to put onto it. Chris Bell and London have a little bit different aspect of the program to talk about, and that's what we're all wearing these Black Skills USA jackets for. Not anything new to Pleasant Valley High School. We've been participating and competing in Skills USA in many contests for many years. We've had a lot of student success in welding and related technical programs there. These brave students are our first ones moving forward with some of the technical design and intro drafting contests. So brave kids for kind of doing some groundbreaking work this year. Chris Bell, we talked just a little bit about your contest and maybe what time we're leaving tomorrow morning for that contest.
Yes, so I'm going to be competing in the technical design category. We're heading out tomorrow at 7 a.m. to Ontario for the state conference. And my competition, technical design, focuses on using AutoCAD programs to develop a product.
Yes, I am also going on this trip. It's a great experience for me. I love that I get to go on this. But basically, yeah, we're going to Ontario, California, and I'm doing a competition where I'm drafting on a CAD program. That I'm using AutoCAD for this one, of course. But
And full circle back to our first slide, London is also was a participant in that group, so he worked with our 8th graders coming into the program next year. So I'd like to congratulate these 3 kids in advance and the other 5 that are going with us tomorrow. We have a total of 8 competing at state conference this year, as well as all the CTSOs here this year that have either competed or are competing coming up. So do you have any questions for these folks? No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Matt. What he presented is a great example of what I was talking about, that crossover of industries. So they're getting that hands-on experience in construction. So they're doing the computer version, but also visualizing what it looks like in real life. So it's really a great program. So
I do have a
thank
question.
you.
I knew I had one, sorry. They mentioned that they weren't allowed to make cuts, but did they get to use some of the tools for building the shed?
That's where our partner ProFrame came in. They actually supplied many of the tools for this, the power tools, and since this is more of an architectural plan and less of a program and less of a hands-on, these students don't have that specific training in some of those tools yet. Perhaps in time we can do that. They did obtain some OSHA 10 certifications in construction earlier this year, which is a progression towards being able to do more hands-on. They use primarily hand tools as students for our student safety aspect. We'll get into skill saws and such later. Good question.
But they did get to use some tools. I didn't
Oh,
mean
yeah.
necessarily, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Another one of our quotes from our students, it really felt like CTE Pathway was helpful for me for what I wanted to do with my life. It helped me decide if teaching was what I wanted to do with my life or not. I believe if you feel strongly about a specific job or CTE pathway, it's a great way to go. Our next group I'm going to ask up is Brittany Brown, and Lauren from PV is going to join her as well. They collaborate so well together that they are collaborating on their presentations, and they're back-to-back in the presentation, so it makes it work out well.
Thank you guys so much for having us. My name's Lauren Barrera Green, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a different spiel than what you heard just previously. A little background information about me. I started teaching about 16 years ago at River Valley High School, and I started in the traditional arts. So it felt a little different than what we're doing now in CTE. I did transition over into taking over the CTE digital photography program there, so when I was lucky enough to get hired here, CTE wasn't really new for me. But I do want to say that what is new, or I would say what is different for me in my experience between the two, is the amount of support that we have here, and I'm not just blowing smoke. We have so much support. Tiffany and Tina Keene are phenomenal. When we ask for something, it's almost like we are not going to get told no, and I don't want to say that and feel like I'm not being grateful about that. So what I would like to talk to you guys about first is I want to give you an overview of our vision and our rationale for our programs, because they are a little bit new to what Chico Unified is doing as far as CTE. And the reason that I'm going to go a little bit at a different angle is because I feel that the arts typically don't fit the bill for what we think of when we think of CTE and like the traditional old like ROP program. So I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective, and maybe you'll have a better understanding of what Brittany and I are really trying to do at both sites. So we all know, and this is like stating the obvious, this is a great slide for this, we all know that the arts provide intrinsic value for our students as far as education going, empowering students and fostering self-worth. We understand that students need a creative outlet and that it's awesome for authentic expression, building confidence, making them connected to their education. You guys already know this, and we know this too. But what's really exciting for me, and I know for Brittany, I'm speaking for her as well as the other CTE teachers, all of our art teachers at PV are now CTE, is that CTE provides us with a unique opportunity to educate our students within a changing landscape of our economy. And so the old idea of being an artist, we know that doesn't necessarily fly. And what's interesting about our abilities within CTE is that we're able to prepare students for things that we don't even yet know are going to happen, like AI. And so the internet, tech, social media, and now we know AI are changing the landscape of what we're preparing our students for daily, and we almost can't plan for it. And before I go even into that, I pulled some data for you guys just because it's super exciting to hear data, so I won't, bore you too much. But according to the American Association of Colleges and Universities, I love this one, I don't know why that's a highlight, but okay. 93% of employers prioritize critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and creativity, and that's a stat, so there's some data. The World Economic Forum believes that by the year 2025, so next year, creativity will be one of the top 3 skills sought by employers. I have more. Recent Adobe survey found that 73% of employers prioritize candidates with creativity skills over technical skills. And then lastly, and I know this sounds maybe a bit daunting for me to even wrap my head around, and this is a couple years old, but in 2022, the arts and creative and cultural sector contributed over $1.1 trillion to our US economy. And I have all of where I got those data from, so if anybody's like wanting to pick at that, I can give it to you. But so with this evolving landscape, Brittany and I are always talking like, how are we going to adapt our traditional arts program and move it into this evolving modern world that we are trying to prepare our students for? And so with AI, we worry that some of these jobs, like let's just say graphic design, that field could just go poof and goes away. And that now with AI, anybody can just automate that. And while that is true, on a recent field trip that I took some students to Butte College, I spoke with Daniel Donnelly, who's the chair of the art department out there, and he's also just like a guru. He's on our board. And he spoke to that, and he said that while automation and automated jobs are going to be easily replaced, for example, and that the role of a graphic designer might look drastically different, the importance of human creativity and creative innovators and people who can uniquely problem solve will be in higher demand and are going to hold higher value. And so even though we might not know exactly what our landscape is going to look like in the design industry, in the design sector, what our goal is to cultivate creative thinking within our classes. And that on the forefront, we might say, oh yeah, we're art teachers, and if somebody asks me like, well, what do you do? I say, oh, I teach art at PV. But that feels so minuscule to what we're really doing, because I really think what we're preparing our students for is the ability to problem solve creatively and to think differently than the next person. So where we're going with this and what's changed within the traditional programs at PV and also Chico High is we are centering our efforts towards real-world work experience. There's a heavy emphasis in both of our programs on community arts engagement, and we're calling it art service learning, which was actually taken from my predecessor, Rita Rickmers, had a whole program of art service learning within her studio art class, which is now one of our capstone classes. So I've kind of brought that back, and then we're putting it on steroids without sounding too cliche. I have students right now that are placed in interns at Chico Art Center, Monca, and Mark Thaw Photography. These students are archiving collections, they're doing data entry, they're doing graphic design work, and professional photo editing. And I know Brittany is going to be talking about how she's integrating that into her program. And what's been really exciting, and I'm going to just speak for myself, is Brittany and I have known each other for some years, and we're friends, and we probably talk daily. And so it's been really awesome to be able to collaborate back and forth between the two schools and really support each other in what we're doing within our classes. I don't know if we need to go through the slides anymore.
Okay. Let's get
to mine really quickly. Okay. All right, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having us. So following what Lauren said, Chico High and PV have been collaborating regularly. It feels really wonderful to be able to support one another, to bounce ideas off of one another, but also to tie community connections together and be able to find similar opportunities for students, because that's what it really is all about, is finding these shared interests for students that align with both of our curriculums and opportunities for them as well. Something that's exciting for our program at Chico High and for PV as well is we will be dual enrolling our classes with Butte College next year. So as of next year, Photo 1, Photo 2, and Digital Arts will all be dual enrolled. And as far as our CTSO, so while we are not competing with Skills USA like the other programs are, we've both been working to develop our CTSOs within our programs, and I began a chapter of the National Art Honor Society at Chico High this year, and I found that it's been a really exceptional way to create opportunities for leadership with students and to give them some real-world experience, along with giving the ability to collaborate across mediums, because I oversee photography and also digital arts, and so we're all in the same classroom, but obviously taking the classes at different times, but we have similar skill sets using Adobe products, but different ways of getting there. So photography students are focused more on Photoshop and cameras, obviously, whereas the digital art students have Photoshop experience, but also Adobe Illustrator. And so there are lots of different ways that they can work together to collaborate to create a product for either themselves or for somebody in the community. So that's been a really great way to develop our CTSO, I guess, just exploring that and learning how to make it grow and thrive. So one of the things that we are trying to do, Lauren and I together, are really get our students out into the community more and expand the walls of our classroom out into the community of Chico so that they can apply the experiences that they're learning in the class out into the community and see the purpose behind it. So part of our CTSO and this art service learning that Lauren was talking about, there are a couple of different options for them. Sure.
You keep mentioning CTSO. What did this initials stand for?
So this is the student organization that it's for the, what is that? Career Technical Student Organization, that's what I thought. Sorry about that. So that is where we are fostering these leadership skills and giving them the opportunity to show their work. And for instance, with the National Art Honor Society, they are linked with the National Art Education Association, and so they're able to display or contribute work to potential magazine publications, and so that's a really great way for them to share their work and see their work published. So going back to our community involvement, there are 4 different sections of our art service learning requirements, and so there's lending a hand, which is asking students to lend a hand either to a Chico High staff member or to a community organization using their artistic skills. That can look like something such as taking pictures for somebody for their homework or school classroom resources, taking pictures for a club or a sport, designing a logo or a flyer for school events, so on and so forth. Examples of current lending a hand opportunities that we've had the opportunity to execute have been designing the buttons for John Andrews Robotics Club, the Butte Built Bots, photographing the welding team for their new trailer, designing large signs for the cross-country team, designing the prom flyers. We were asked by a teacher to help design a "What to Do When You're Done" poster for their classroom, which was inspired by Grace Dearborn's talk at our district-wide staff development last week, along with being asked and hired by the National Charity League to photograph one of their events, and one of my students is currently shadowing and assisting a local wedding photographer. The other components of that choice board include community arts appreciation, so students are asked to go out into the community and attend an art gallery or a performance and do a write-up about it and tell us their experience, along with
real-world knowledge using a program called Pathful Explore, where they have the opportunity to learn how to write a resume, the importance of a cover letter, and also contribute to a collaborative project between the photography students and the digital arts students together. So they are working on a large project that they're currently developing throughout their leadership roles at the end of the semester. We are also, with CTE, we're given the opportunity to go on a lot of really great field trips, and I've taken kids out to Butte College and Chico State, as has Lauren, and we got to tour the photography facilities and the makerspace at Butte College, as is shown here. We also went to the digital media lab at Chico State and got to participate in hands-on demonstrations of working in the actual photo lab and having pictures that they got to take home with them. And they got to create stop-motion animations in a state-of-the-art lab at Chico State, which was really wonderful. And then we're actually going to have some upcoming projects that are similar to what they got to do when they were working hands-on at the university, so they can really see how what we are doing in the classroom lines up with what you're able to do outside of high school. And as Lauren was also mentioning, CTE has really just allowed us to become visionaries for our students. It's been a really wonderful experience, and to have the support of Tiffany and Tina and of each other, honestly, it's been phenomenal being able to come up with an idea and see something that could be an amazing opportunity for our students and be able to research that and provide that for them. Having the ability to use equipment that students see industry professionals use is a huge motivator and confidence booster, whether they are working on a personal project or working on their lend-a-hand as they are working with a community member or with a teacher.
Are there any questions?
Thank you, and thank you. Oh, my goodness. I have a question. If you have a special ed student that wants to enroll in your program, what kind of supports are available to help them initially, to be successful in the pathway?
100%. They're just like one of the rest. There's no difference. And I feel like the arts have always been the place for all students. I'll just give you an example. I could actually go even bigger than that. So I think every single art class at PV is now in a pathway. So we've really adopted it wholeheartedly. And I will just say, he's not here, but one of my colleagues, Stephen Tramberg, has an Art 1 class with, I want to say, 51% students that have IEPs. And if you look back on this slideshow, or maybe I have to go forward. Oh, I went too far. Oh, I did not. I'm so sorry. I don't know where I'm going. He just recently finished this mask making project. This is that class. And you would walk into that classroom and every single person would be busy. There was nobody on their cell phone. I know everybody gets up on the cell phones. Massive problem solving going on. Every single kid was, engaged. I don't see there being a better place for students than in our classes. So, and I think that I'm going to speak for us in the arts, and I'll speak for my other two colleagues. We feel very strongly about that there's really no difference.
Thank you.
Any other questions for us? Thank you guys so much for having us. It was very nice to be able to talk.
Right, thank you. What I love about the two of them and their other colleagues is that we've always had art in school, but they're showing the industry relevance and that just how that can connect to jobs outside of high school. And I'm really very proud of what they have done in their programs. With that, one of the quotes we got was specific to arts. It said that it was challenging, but it helped them improve their artistic skills. So our students are feeling challenged, but in a good way. So it's a good problem to have. All right, our next speaker we have is Ronnie Cockrell. He's coming to speak about the ag welding program at Chico High.
Hello, everybody. Ronnie Cockrell. This is Brett McGuire. She's going to be speaking on behalf of the student side of this. Last year, we had the opportunity to not just compete in a welding competition, but actually a fabrication, which there is a difference. When we used to go to the welding competitions, you would weld 6 inches and get judged on that particular. But then last year, we got a chance to go to Carruthers High School and Yosemite High School, which is down south, and they just started this fabrication competition, which is a team of 4 that compete to actually build a specific thing. And the kids have 6 hours in order to do this. So it's very similar to, if you're familiar with Cake Wars or any of those reality shows that they have a allotted set of time. This is no different. And these kids don't get a lunch break. They eat when they're not working. So it's very similar to real world experience. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brett and let her kind of explain her side of it, because she is on our team.
Hi, I'm Brett McGuire. I'm a sophomore at Chico High School. Our school's welding program recently started doing competitions about 2 years, or last year was the first year. I've been on a welding team for 2 years now. We've gone to competitions in Gridley, Marysville, Carruthers, and we also put on our own competition. These competitions are very important for many reasons. They give us the opportunity to come together as a team, and we get to design and develop the functions of our projects. We've designed and built a bench, a welding table, and a rocket stove so far this year. They also provide opportunities to enhance our skills in custom fabrication. The competitions also encourage us to meet and build relationships with people who are already working in the industry. None of these opportunities wouldn't have happened for me or other kids on the welding team if it wasn't for Mr. Cockrell. I've always known since I was in elementary school that I wanted to go to Chico High for the welding program. I'd participated in the BCOE summer welding camps when I was in middle school, and I was a youth leader for the summer camps last summer. These summer camps helped me fall in love with the industry, and I knew that I wanted to be a welder. But with Mr. Cockrell's guidance, I discovered that I wanted to continue in the manufacturing industry post-high school. I have an ultimate goal of becoming a custom fabricator. Thank you for your time and letting me present to you about how important the Chico High welding program is for the future of the trades community. Questions at all?
I do. Can we talk a little bit more about the summer camps? Can you give me a little more background on what those are and who sponsors them and so forth?
Of course. So they're through Butte County Office of Education, which is BCOE, and it's funded by CARD, I believe. And they happen 3 weeks out of the summer, and you can pick like which week works best for you. And there's an instructor there that will help you learn all the different processes of welding, like MIG or TIG or any other thing that is there, and they'll just help you through it.
And how old do you have to be to do that?
I believe it's 12 to 15, maybe, no, 11 to 15, somewhere between there, and then you can start being a youth leader if you love it so much.
And you've actually staffed these? You've
Yes.
actually been an instructor and so forth?
Yes, I staffed last year, or like this last summer, and then I was a participant in the camp for 2 years.
And they're located here in Chico?
Yep. At the
And what
Butte County.
facility do they use?
The Butte County Office of Education facility here in Chico.
Great, thanks.
I wanted to hear just a little bit more about the fabrication competition and sort of how that went and what did you make, and I want to hear more about it.
Yeah, so like Cockrell said, we have 6 hours to build and fabricate different things. We've done a bench, which had to incorporate wood. So we would create a metal frame with a wood seat or incorporate wood any way that you can. We've done a welding table where you would build the welding table and then you would, it would be like judged by peoples and then you would be ranked like that. And then we've done a rocket stove where we design the rocket stove whichever way we want. We have creative freedom for anything. There are certain requirements for different things, but we can build it however we want.
Is there a highlight or favorite thing that has happened in that space?
For me, it's watching my team come from just a couple of people that love to weld to becoming a team and working together as one and making our projects progressively more and more better.
I'm going to tell on your teacher. When I worked at Pleasant Valley High School, Mr. Cockrell was a student at Pleasant Valley High School. I was the attendance clerk, and we got to know each other really well.
That's normally not good.
In follow-up is, it's not uncommon for teachers to have been one of the harder students.
I was going to comment on your question, Eileen, when you asked about like support for special ed or kids with IEPs. I've had the privilege of having two of my boys in the welding program at Chico High. Our oldest, who's graduated now, he's at Butte College taking prereqs for welding, which he's very excited about. But I personally was over the top amazed with just how supportive Chico High was for him. He has an IEP, and when he needed the support, like for safety reasons, they were there and they provided that support. And then when he proved that that wasn't necessary, that was lifted, and he felt like that was a huge rite of passage. So anyway, I'm forever grateful for the welding program at Chico High, and I'm just excited because it's really given my oldest particularly something he's excited about in pursuing his future career. So anyway, just overwhelmed with appreciation and just the amount of support that they've provided with him with his disabilities. So thank you guys.
Is there a similar community engagement aspect to your program, kind of like we heard about with the arts and with engineering and architecture, where, are there opportunities that you look for to partner or collaborate with or even do projects for, other entities in the community?
Yeah, we are constantly helping out local industry that comes to us, for certain things. With a lot of the grant dollars that we get and we spend on our shops, we basically are mini manufacturing shops for these industry partners that we have. And there are times they come to us with, hey, we don't have time to get this done. Is there any chance we can have your kiddos, do this for us? And they were big and instrumental in helping us purchase this trailer and the sponsorship on the side of the trailer with their stickers that we tried to show. Because if it wasn't for the industry partners, a lot of these CTE programs just would struggle to be funded. And with them, we're constantly partnering with them. And actually, next Friday, you're all invited. We're hosting our own competition out at Cal Custom, which is just off of the Durham-Dayton exit. If you're heading out of town south, take the Durham exit, turn right like you're going to Durham, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see where all the houseboats are. That's where we're going to be hosting our own competition. That we have about 8 schools showing up from all over the valley that are going to be here. And our particular one is they're going to be building a fire pit, and so that fire pit has to be done by scratch, and the kids have to design everything. And that's very similar to what Brett was talking about with the rocket stove. We get a set of plans from that particular school, and they have very specific requirements that they have to meet. So they can have their own creativity in how they want to build it, but they have to meet the requirements or they get disqualified. So if it's too tall, too wide, too short, and the judges will go around. And with the community support and the industry, they are also our judges. So they come and they get to see the kids firsthand because it's their future workforce. So they really like to invest in coming to show their faces and introduce themselves and actually see the kids that are there.
Thank you.
Thank you
And you
so
have
much.
you have the trailer right outside, correct?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
there's a bathroom break or something, people could check it out.
All right. Better be quick because I'm leaving. Thank you.
we'll go back. So that's the trailer. It is, like Kelly said, right outside. And it was, it's not, yeah, you can't miss it. We were able to put a custom wrap on it too with our grant funds because it's considered advertising and recruitment of our younger students to get them involved. So it was pretty cool. And that trailer was donated from the community for his program. And I have to say that Ronnie is a kid magnet, first of all. Like, kids flock to him. He's at school at 6:45 in the morning, opening the shop, letting them come in. And that passion really shows in everything that he does. So thank you, Ronnie. One of our last quotes: through these CTE programs and classes offered, I have found some of my passions and a pathway that I would like to pursue further in a university. So you see repetitively how these classes impact our students. Our last group we have come up is Priscilla Burns and Nick Velarde. They are representing our food service and hospitality program. Just a small program.
Just an itty bitty program. I am gobstopped still every day when I walk into that facility. We are so proud of it on a daily basis, and our students are so proud of that. If you haven't had a chance to see the facility or the facility in action, I really recommend that you come over. A lot of times we serve on Fridays at lunch, and it's really worth your time to come take a look. We start our pathway with life management and nutrition science, continuing on in Culinary 1, Culinary 2, baking and pastry. Our program has threefold since 2020 when we opened the new building. Students want to be there. We have to kick them out all the time. And so it's a place where we're applying real-world skills with academic rigor. We do community service. We're wall-to-wall our Career and Technical Student Organization, which is called FCCLA. We do internships, externships. We have kids on job site placement, and we have career development from 9th grade through 12th grade with portfolios. This year has been sort of exhausting in travel. And we can talk about that a little bit. We have hosted both a regional fall and a spring meeting. I think we've catered over 30 events this year, and the students are working, costing, ordering, having fun. This year we have a slate of local chapter officers, 6. We have 6 regional officers, and we have 1 state officer. We're also having a student run for state office next month, and 1 student that's going to run for a national office this summer. So we're really excited about all the events. We took a group of students last month, 2 months ago.
Is that 2 months? Yeah.
To Long Beach, and I'm going to let Ava talk about our Pro Start team for a moment.
Hi, I've been with Ms. Burns for about 3 years now, and she has pushed me this whole time to just keep moving and trying to do absolutely everything, and I thank her so much for it. And so she pushed me to do our Pro Start team, which we started working on as soon as the year pretty much started, and we started forming a team. And the competition is a team of 4 to 5, and we create 3 dishes that are to be made in 1 hour, and we get 2 burners, which is pretty much 2 like stoves kind of, but they're not as hot, so it takes a little longer. And we create 3 dishes. So as you can see, we have an octopus dish that I made by myself, and it is a pressure-cooked and seared octopus with some potatoes, asparagus, blistered tomatoes, and on top of it, it has a kind of acidic balsamic, not balsamic, basil dressing, just to kind of get the acidicness to get you hungry, and then it'll move you on to the next dish, which is a pistachio encrusted lamb that has quinoa, carrots, and beets, and which is so delicious. I had it for we practiced at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning for 2 weeks straight, and I had octopus, lamb, and everything for 2 weeks straight. It was good, but it got tiring. And then the last dish, which was my personal favorite, it is a cheesecake with a blueberry compote that has sugared blueberries, kiwi, and then star anise on top, dusted on top of the cheesecake. It's a no-bake cheesecake. And then she does this like sugar work on top of it, which is just amazing to see. It took us months to create these recipes and perfect them, but all in all, we were very proud of them. So we competed down in Long Beach, and we got 9th in the competition. And it was just such an amazing experience, and it just kind of formed and shaped what I want to do for my future, which is not culinary, but nutrition. And so with the food costing and everything, it just kind of puts you into like a restaurant-esque situation and just prepares you for almost anything that will come your way when it comes to culinary. So thank you for that opportunity.
Sorry, I'm going to not let you leave the microphone.
Of course. She's hungry now.
I am curious about what constraints you're given going into that competition. Are you given like a budget constraint, ingredient number constraint, besides the 1 hour of cooking time, obviously?
We're given, it's around like an $80 limit. And there's like a lot of, we have to think more practical. Like we can't, it's hard because you want to be able to impress them with this budget. So it kind of puts everyone in the same situation, which is nice. So these schools that aren't like very financed, like they are able to compete at the same level as everyone else. So it's just how you use your money. That's how you're able to get further. So we were very sparing, and so like with like an octopus and like a lamb, it's just how much you use of it. That's where it all comes in. So it was like an $80 limit. So, yeah.
Per cover.
Per cover. So like yeah. So all 3 courses had to equal up to $80.
And then last question from me, I promise. Did you learn something watching the other teams' presentations or the dishes, the ones that, scored a little higher?
Oh, yeah.
Were there things that you took away from that you would maybe change differently and do different next time?
So with the 2 burners, you had to get really creative with how you wanted to show off. And like there was, it's just all like technique. So, and just what we weren't able to think outside the box for. Like there was one group of people who made ice cream. And so I was just flabbergasted on like how they were able to make ice cream. I was just sitting there like just in awe. And because they brought like dry ice and we're just sitting there and just, there was one girl just going at it and I was like, and then there was another group who brought like a handheld blender. And I was like, why didn't I think of that the whole time? Because I had a mortar and pestle for my sauce. And so I was sitting there just like hammering at this thing when I could have just been hand cranking this. But definitely a lot of things that I wish I could have done, but I'm still happy with everything. It was all just technique, and how far you can think outside the box just got you further.
The competitions for everybody are really fun because you do get to see other, people's approaches that you don't get when you're just with your group at school. You get all kinds of different ideas.
You're
there.
with people who
Great idea exchange.
think the same way as you. It was such a cool place to be.
I'm excited for you.
So who did do that sugar work? It's amazing.
Her name is JC Ashcraft. She is a phenomenal cook. She's right there. That's her doing it.
Gotcha. Okay.
She is such a creative mind, and I just look up to her every single day. Just being next to these people is just phenomenal. And that's Sam too. he was our manager, and so he was there yelling at us, telling us the time, and just providing us support while I was just having a breakdown. But, you know, JC's phenomenal. And it was Diego, Ian, the two on the left, I'm in the middle, and then there's Sam and JC. That was us after, just feeling tired, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
While Ava was on one of our premier teams, our advanced teams, we also had 35 students compete in our regional competition that included job interview, prepared speech, leadership development, and I'm going to have Chantal talk about her competition.
Hi everybody, my name is Chantal. I am the FCCLA region president, and I had the opportunity of doing a competition this year. I was doing wedding cake designs, so I basically make a fake wedding cake with real supplies. It was very, very eye-opening to all the things you can do in FCCLA. It was a very, very fun experience. I have the opportunity of going to state and competing on the state level. Unfortunately, mine's only a California Star event, so I can't go to nationals for this competition. But doing this competition taught me a lot about time management and just the techniques it takes to get to a farther level. And I'm really thankful to Burns and Mr. V because their class really opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Before I joined their class my sophomore year, I was thinking of doing something totally different for college, but now I want to go to a culinary school and do culinary as a chef for a living. Thank you guys.
We have one student that's running for a national office this next summer, and she's one of our current state officers.
Hello everyone, my name is Miley Bryant, and I'm currently the California FCCLA State Vice President. So with being Vice President, I also had to run for region and chapter. I kind of hit the ground running my freshman year. I started and jumped in right into region and was elected region president. And then the year after, which this prior year, I was elected the state vice president. And throughout this experiences, I've gotten the opportunity to go to a multitude of conferences and not only network with my peers from across the country, but also I've gotten to network with other teachers, and I've learned how to make the school environment better. And I've learned how to be an active member within the community. I'm also in Miss Burns's Culinary 2 class, and I was in Mr. Velarde's Culinary 1 class. They both helped me realize what I wanted to do. And I've actually also competed at the region, state, and national level for professional presentation and career exploration. But through this experience, I've also realized that I want to further my journey in FCCLA and run for nationals, as she said, this next summer. So I will hopefully be elected to the 10 national officers this summer. Yep, that's it. Yes.
What does that mean? What do you do? What's your responsibilities?
Currently, or what?
Both. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, so what does your role look like at this level? And then if you were to be elected at the national level, what is it that you're going to be doing?
So currently, as the vice president, I look over all STAR competitions, which is students taking action with recognition. So like Chantal with her wedding cake, and then with me with my professional presentation, I look over all of these events, and I go to STAR chairpersons meetings with fellow teachers and chairpersons to devise plans to better these STAR events in the beginning of the year. And then near the end of the year, during our state leadership conference, April 27th through the 30th, I believe, I will help run elections for the next incoming state officers. I also attend weekly, if not bi-weekly, Zoom meetings with my state officer team, and occasionally the board of directors for the California FCCLA Federation. And then monthly, I go to national network meetings with all of the national officers and all of the state officers from around the country. And nationally, I'm hoping to run for either first vice president or vice president of competitive events, which I will really, for first vice president, I will be acting as kind of a secretary. So I will be taking notes, and I will be also meeting with the board of directors and sitting as a chairperson on that board. And then with vice president of competitive events, I will be helping them implement and like create new competitive events for the following years. Thank you.
I just want to say, whether it's for a short-term inspiration or a long-term passion, we want to see students succeed at all levels. So, Nick?
So, I mean, if you think about all the things that the kids have done, it's kind of an amazing thing. Here's us catering. I think this was earlier in the year where we're going to be catering some more next week, even for the arts, for the art people. So, but when it all comes down to it, I mean, I also want to shout out some recognition for Priscilla Burns, who this program wouldn't exist without her. I started my culinary teaching in a small little classroom that used to be an art classroom that had no burners. And I came and saw the facility that she helped build and coordinated, and I jumped ship from where I was and came here immediately. So yeah, the fact that we have 700 students in our pathway, and we are winning national competitions, or at least competing, winning state competitions. And it's all comes down to her. I'm still learning. I mean, I get to be one of the spearheads for next year after Priscilla retires this year. So I just wanted to give a little special shout out to Priscilla.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes, Ms. Burns, your group catered a retired Pleasant Valley High School group
We
and
did.
served cheesecake for a
Yes.
dessert. If you could get me that recipe, oh my gosh. It was the best I've ever had.
Thank you. Tomorrow morning, you will get that recipe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. And I, too, would like to give a shout out to Priscilla. Before I was in this position, she was the CTE coordinator. And really all that you see in CTE comes down to the hard work she put in for many years to build to what we have. So she's been instrumental in that. So thank you. Yeah. So, moving on, so that was our program highlights. If any of our teachers would like to go home and have an early evening, you're free to do that. You can stay as long as you like. Thank you all. So they talked, to answer Eileen's question about student organizations, the CTSO, they talked a lot about them. I thought I would go through a little overview of who does what in the CTE world. So they talked about FCCLA, stands for Family, Career, and Communities Leaders of America. Our food service, hospitality, education, and child development pathways affiliate with that. So if you're wondering who does which organization, this will hopefully help you have some clarity in that. FCCLA covers a couple of different industry sectors. Also within FCCLA is fashion design. We don't offer it in Chico Unified. The next one is FFA, or Future Farmers of America. That is all of our agriculture programs. FFA is very specifically just for agriculture. So all of our agriculture pathways, including ag mechanics, ornamental horticulture, floral design, and sustainable ag sciences affiliate with the FFA. And the reason we have these student organizations really comes down to within CTE, there are extra requirements of our teachers. We call these the 12 elements of a high quality CTE program.
one of those elements is leadership, is building leadership skills within the students. And so these organizations help to build those leaderships. So if you hear all these competitions and why do they do this, it's one of our requirements in CTE set by Perkins. So Perkins is our federal grant for CTE. Our next one we have is HOSA, or Health Occupations Students of America, and that is our patient care pathways at both schools and our public safety pathway. Skills USA is kind of an overall encompassing organization, so any of our pathways could affiliate with Skills USA. Specifically, who affiliates within Chico is architecture and engineering programs, our computer programs, including information supports and services, software and system developments. Those are your robotics and drone classes. And then our media production, which is our House of Blues. They came to the board earlier in this year and talked about their experience in that.
Skills USA?
Mm-hmm.
Is it analogous to what's the sports one? Yeah, is it kind of very similar sort of thing?
I don't know anything about sports, so.
CIF runs, competitive sports, for schools.
Yeah, same hierarchy, same school structure, separated out by similar divisions like you would with athletics, with the enrollment, so very similar.
Thank you. And then our last one, like the two art teachers talked about, the National Art Honor Society is new to Chico and PV as of this year. They found that all of the traditional CTSOs didn't really fit their students, so that they sought an alternative which is acceptable in Perkins. And so they're kind of spearheading this. At the state level, they recognize that there is a hole in that for those industries that are in the arts. So they recognize that in their CTSOs that they're missing something for art students. So our teachers went and found their own. So last of our quotes, it was a super great experience that I will definitely be taking with me into my next stages of life. And you heard that over and over again tonight. Any questions before we get into the real fun, the student data? All right. So I wanted to share some data on our programs. This first chart shows us real just basic numbers of enrollment for the past 3 school years prior to this. As the first column is the number of students eligible, so that's our general populations at the high schools, all of the students that could take CTE. The second column is all of the number of unduplicated students that are in CTE. That could, it means they could have multiple CTE classes, but they are only counted once. And as you can see from that jump from 2020 to last school year, we had almost a double. We doubled our enrollment from 992 to 1,800 students, taking our percentage of students last school year to close to 50%. That means nearly 50% of our high school students are getting exposure to CTE classes. And that jump is really due to the fact that we have the block schedule. That has allowed the ability to, for these students to have the room in their schedule to take these classes. The next column looks at our CTE completers. So we're seeing that number increasing as well over the year. We're hoping, I'm hoping the data this year is really going to show that, because this will be the second year PV's had a block schedule as well. And so we're going to see that increase because you have 2 years now in that block schedule. The other columns to the right, there is our completion rate. That is calculated based on the senior cohort, not all of our completers. So it's just looking at our senior class, who was a CTE completer. Last year, we jumped to 21%. So 21.8% of our senior class last year had completed a CTE pathway. And that means, so that's a sequence of courses. That's not just taking one class, that's completing an entire pathway, which most of our pathways are 2 sequence courses. So we are seeing that steadily increase as well with, again, our block schedule. Where we have some holes is in our disaggregated data within our special populations of our English learners, our homeless students, and our foster students. We're seeing that they are not having the same amount of completion rates. And what we have done is hired a partial position, a 0.4 person, to really specify and work with doing outreach to those populations. And so she started working with our homeless and foster students, doing one-on-one mentoring with them to get them to see the potential in their completion of CTE classes. Your question?
A little bit. So would I read this right if I were to say, for 22-23, under student with disabilities, 14.8% of the students with disabilities that were total completed a CTE pathway, or that were in the, I'm a little lost in the numbers here.
So that 14.8% is saying that of that senior class of 2023, 14.8% of the students with disabilities completed a pathway. Data is a little bit tricky. So again, where we see holes, and the problem with some of this data is it's based on maybe a small population. So that 2.2% in our English learners is based on 1 student. So it does make it seem a little bit off in some of those categories. But we are still seeing that as a place where we can improve and increase those populations.
So do you know, is this just that students aren't, in these subcategories, aren't entering into CTE programs, or they are starting them and not finishing them?
Kind of a combination. So if we look at the data, there are more students that take or start pathways than finish, but that's kind of overall for our whole population of students. A lot of students start pathways and don't finish them. So our goal, one of our main goals, is to help get students, all students, and all subgroup students to finish. But certain populations are, so our students with disabilities is one of those where they tend to kind of jump around between pathways, which is, there's nothing wrong with that because they're getting a feel for what they want to do. But what we would like to see them do is find something that they can finish. So it's not uncommon for them to jump around and see what they're interested in.
So I think it would also be interesting just to know, I feel like I'm missing a column for each of those subcategories of the percent of those students in CTE. So like the percent of students with disabilities that are in CTE. Like that's not reflected up there, but I'm saying, right? Okay. So just making sure I'm not misreading anything.
No, and I can work on pulling that data. That's in our CalPADS data, so we can pull that pretty easy. So, yeah. The other thing we're working on, a goal that we've had, is working on translation of documents, specifically targeting the EL, and that's targeting the parents of English learners. Is we're trying to get the documents that we have translated into other native languages so that they have all the information as well. So it's just been a process of Google Translate. So we've Google translated things, and now we have to have a real person that can, check for accuracy to make sure everything is saying the right things that they're supposed to. So those will hopefully be up on our website soon. Some other data, which is positive data, this tracks our graduation rate of our CTE completers. For the past 2 years, we've had nearly 100% graduation rate. What that means is that if a student took a CTE pathway, that they were also a high school graduate. So this year we're at 99.4% of graduation rate of our CTE completers. So a correlation, that's why we are pushing for our students to be completers, because they're more goal-oriented, and we're seeing the data correlation with higher graduation rates as well.
Can you clarify for me, a little bit with Fairview. Is there not a CTE pathway program there yet, but then it's on deck to be
Yeah.
implemented? Okay.
So they don't have a CTE program because it comes down to credentialing. You'd have to have a CTE designated credential in order to offer those classes there. So that's really what it comes down to, is the credentialing aspect.
Seems like it would be pretty powerful to have a more robust CTE program at Fairview.
We're working with Pete Donahue to be our start. So we're working with him to get that started and hopefully expand out from there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other positive data that we're seeing is that overall, our students that are CTE completers are scoring higher in academic proficiency in our state testing. So if you look at the blue line, that is the state target, and the red line is our overall, all of our CTE completers. We're scoring above the state target in each one of those tests. Again, we have some holes in our specific populations, which is why we're doing specific mentoring with those students.
Foster's not on there?
That goes down to the population is low, like the population might be one student, and if they didn't score proficient in their tests, they're not going to show up there.
Yeah, a low end. Got it. Yeah.
So, this shows our data of just how we've grown as well. So the first column is our number of classes or sections that we offer. In 2019-2020, we had 80 sections of CTE compared to last year at 131 sections. We're up to 25 teachers, 11 sections of dual enrollment. That is set next year to be somewhere in the 27 classes dual enrolled, which is just, it's hard to fathom that we have that many classes that are going to be dual enrolled next year.
You're talking about dual enrollment with Butte College. Is that where the dual enrollment for our automotive program, is that going to be part of that exchange?
That is up to some other people in this room to decide. So that is above my level of approval. So they're talking about the auto program being offered, yeah. So that's
Well,
a
this board member is
conversation.
very interested in that, just in case anybody cares.
Okay. To clarify, I don't know if anybody has any questions on what that is. No?
I think that would be a huge facility, Board Member Robinson, and I know that our focus has been on those pathways, and then the next bond coming up, we'll have an opportunity to take a look at those elementary schools. So it doesn't mean it can't be on the list, but we know that list is already pretty long.
So what Butte College has offered is they're doing a class at their facility that they're going to allow our students to come and dual enroll with. Yeah. Yeah. So that's an opportunity for our students as well. And then the other thing is our industry certifications. We've seen that balloon as well. Those are things like CPR and first aid, our safe serve, our food handler cards, any sort of certification that they can use in the industry. We've seen that increase exponentially. Last part of this presentation is about how do we do all this stuff? We do all this stuff because of the grant funding that we apply to. So there's 3 grants that we apply to annually. Strong Workforce is the first one. So these are all of our active grants right now. It's a lot to keep track of, so I'm very grateful for our accounting departments. Christy Lico and Sharice Bromley are amazing. They keep us all on track with making sure we spend all the money. Our CTIG is the other one. That stands for CTE Incentive Grant. We apply for that annually. And then Perkins is another grant that we apply for annually. We've had a couple other grants this past couple of years that we've applied to as well on top of that. That has helped fund our programs. So it's a lot of grant writing to help get these things and our equipment and facilities up to industry standards. Our focus on our Strong Workforce project this year was on alternative ed. So at our industry advisory committee last spring, overwhelmingly, the industry, the community said that we needed more at Fairview. And so that's where we started looking at what can we do with what we have right now. And so we started working with Pete Donahue to try to see if we can expand what he is doing in the space that he has. So that's one of our focuses for that. And then establishing junior high career exploration classes and programs. Currently we have BCOE that comes in and does a program, but we would like to do more within that as well. And so we have some grant funding specifically for that as well. Another grant that we just got done writing, we wrote 3 grants for the Golden State Pathways projects. This was a one-time grant from the state with no match requirement, meaning that we don't have to provide any sort of financial match. They're just going to give us money if we're awarded this. We do. Those are great grants. We applied for 3 grants totaling around $3.5 million to help upgrade our facilities, for the most part, upgrade facilities. The purpose of this grant was to establish or expand pathways within high-wage and high-demand industries. The state had specific industries that they targeted as priorities, and those are the ones that we honed in on at each of the high schools.
Are you going to share what they were?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, next
so
slide.
At
Sorry.
CHS.
Like, tell me more.
Yeah. So at Chico High School, we wrote 2 grants for them, just because kind of the way it rolled out, it rolled better. We had page limits. We were limited to 11 pages to write, double-spaced pages to be able to write everything in. So we wrote them in 2 different applications that focused on STEM, education, medical careers, environmental science, and horticulture, and computer science. And with this grant, it's a little bit different because it's a cross between CTE and academics. So one of the focuses of this is A through G completion, some dual enrollment, so they have to have the opportunity for post-secondary credits. They also have to have the opportunity for work experience. So this was a kind of holistic kind of approach to education. The big focus, again, was on facilities. So we wrote to upgrade the science classrooms at Chico. So we're hoping to get those to do a little bit of a modernization inside of those classrooms. And then also to add a medical lab, so a medical patient care lab at Chico High that is hopefully similar to the one that's at PV. Yeah, so we're hoping to get those. At PV, we wrote 1 grant focused on computer science and then plant/environmental science. Again, a big focus was to upgrade facilities and to purchase some other things like a vehicle. So we will find out hopefully by March 9th. That's the projected date to find out if we were awarded those applications. April 9th, yeah, thank you. We wrote these were due March 19th, so it's a very fast turnaround. So that is my presentation. What questions can I answer? Yeah.
You've mentioned junior high a couple of times tonight, and so I guess my question for you is, what gaps are there that we're seeing coming from the middle school to high school and getting kids launched into those pathways? And do you think that if there was a way to make it even more robust at the middle school level, that we might see some of those targeted groups maybe come up a little bit
Exactly. So we need we're focused on making things more aligned to what the high schools are doing, the pathways that are offered. So not just kind of a random elective, but making the elective actually correspond to a pathway that is at the high school. We're also looking, and we're going to be probably piloting it at Marsh, doing a wheel type of class where they get exploration and exposure in multiple industries, so that they have that exposure at that level, and then they are more informed when they get to high school about what they have.
And part of that is to address the constraint that many students don't even have an elective class, or maybe have 1 elective class because they only get 6 class periods at the middle school level. It would be amazing if we could figure out how to fund like a 7-period hybrid block schedule. I'll be able to add an extra class in the day for our middle school classes, huh?
Oh, that's beyond my
But it
level
would be
of
nice,
approval.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I would just like to state that was stated earlier in the presentation. One, we have amazing teachers in the CT programs, which is proving to what our students are doing in all the different competitions and how many more kids that we have in these CT pathways. But what was stated earlier is the work that when Tiffany came on as our coordinator of CT is really blossomed and taken off, and she keeps everybody focused on what needs to be done and in the industry and legal in all the industry. But I also want to thank Tina Keene and her work with Tiffany, and also Michelle Bunch, who's not here tonight, writing those grants and working with Tiffany, because Tiffany writes those grants with Michelle, the two of them. The hard work that they've done to make sure these dollars continue to come in is just amazing. So I just wanted to thank all three of them for their work on the CTE pathways.
Thank you.
Want to just piggyback off that and say that our schools, from TK on up are amazing, and I'm so excited that my kiddo's starting next year in Chico Unified as a TKer. But when I think about high school options for her, and there's lots of options in the region, really, and what gets me the most excited about thinking about my kiddo going to one of our high schools is our CTE program. There's so many different opportunities. Like, I know she's gonna get the academics, she's gonna get it from me anyway, but the opportunities to explore such a variety of interests it's really remarkable, and just the work that you guys do is amazing, and thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah. My son is in kindergarten this year, so I have the same kind of lens that I can see through, is what is the future gonna look like for my kids, so. It's nice to have that lens to see, yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, well, we're gonna roll right through, unless there's any objections to that.
Some crusted lamb and octopus?
I think I will stay away from the octopus.
Yeah. About that. All right, good.
Okay. Hearing no objections to moving right along, we'll go into our discussion action calendar. 6.1.1 is informational. It's the first reading of revised, updated, new board policies. Superintendent Staley, do you want to just brief us?
Yes. We have one new one that will come back. And that came out of a compliance review with Nutrition Services. They updated their policies. So it's a minor change there, and we'll bring it back for approval at our next board meeting.
Okay, are we ready to move on, board? And there's no public comment? All right, so this is informational only. No action is needed, and it will come back at a future board meeting for board approval. My computer is loading right now, so we're just gonna move right along with that. It smells like plastic. All right, we'll move on to 6.1.2, a discussion action item for approval of revised, updated new board policies, which were on our last agenda for first read.
Yes, we are bringing these forward now. We've seen them at the last board meeting. They've been posted with this time, and we are ready for either questions on any of these, if there's any you want to pull and change, or we can move forward and approve them. It's slowly.
Yeah, the internet's been really slow right now. It's we're looking for the specifics, I think.
Yeah, I'm not getting my board policies to update,
Yeah.
so.
Our internet's not
Maybe we
loading.
do need to take a break
Hey,
for
look,
dinner.
there it is. It's right up there at least.
somebody got the good internet over there.
Yeah.
The closed session language, I couldn't get. Superintendent Staley, when I tried to get the closed session language to open, I couldn't get into it. Is there a reason for that?
For closed?
If you look at 9321,
That Pacific, yeah. I'm not getting any of mine to come up
Oh,
right now, so
I had.
you're a step ahead of me. I have little
Well, I
bubbles.
had tried it before, and I couldn't get it to, although it says that it's page 3 of 3, it's still,
Did anybody have any that they wanted to pull?
That's what I was going to ask. If all the board members had sufficient time to review the policies and didn't have any changes they wanted to bring forward, I think we can, go ahead and
Move right ahead,
move
yeah.
forward with the item. And there's no public comment on this as well, I don't think.
That is correct. There was no public comment.
Okay. Board, would you like to move forward, even though we don't have internet access?
Right.
Are we prepared to
I
call
was-
for a motion?
I reviewed them after the last meeting.
Okay, I'll call for a motion then.
I move approval of the second reading of the board policies, the updated board policies.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We haven't voted in a while. Let's just go ahead and do a roll call vote. We'll start with you, Rebecca.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Very unenthusiastic aye.
All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you, board.
And mine finally just loaded.
I'm still waiting. It's okay. All righty. Item 7 is board member requests to agendize, and we did not have any requests submitted this round. And with that, we will be moving into closed session.
And if we could be there, let's give ourselves a 10-minute break, but be there at 5 till, that'd be great.
Okay.
We have to set up a Zoom.
Once we're done with closed session, if there's anything to report out, I'll return and gavel us out, hopefully by 7:30.